Good morning, Sally. It's awesome to be here. And look, we're only 2 weeks away from Christmas. Can't
Woohoo!
believe
Hey, Harry, let's see what's around your neck today, darling. Oh, very smart. A newbie.
Yeah, I've got an even better one for next week if we do our
Oh,
next
bring it on. Christmas special, hey? I know,
one.
2 weeks till Christmas, frightening. 2 weeks into summer, crap weather. Except yesterday here was very hot, and you've got those dreadful, dreadful bushfires causing a lot of haze and smoke. That was up there when I was in Canberra a couple of weeks ago. It was,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, we're surrounded by bush. It's so dry.
so dry. It was dry in the middle of winter when I was there. So,
Yep.
and not much rain since.
So today we're going to talk about something that should be like all brand, regular. Right? It's not all brand.
You're so funny.
It is blood tests.
Yeah.
And I think blood tests are cool.
Yeah.
We have an awesome thing called Medicare here, and that subsidises blood tests in a way that doesn't occur in other countries. So, for instance, my favourite component of the blood test is one you won't have heard of called homocysteine.
Oh, we talked on this the other day. Tell me all about this. I want to know.
And in England, I think it costs about £100 for a homocysteine test. Here, when I get it done, probably because of my age, partly, it's free. Now, homocysteine is a fraction in the blood, and why it's important, Patrick Holford talks a lot about this. In fact, he's written a book about homocysteine, and it's because it's a predictor of degenerative disease. It's a marker that's a predictor of degenerative disease. So think about things like heart attack, coronary artery disease, bone fractures, macular degeneration, and cognitive performance.
Yeah. Cardiovascular disease, it's the largest killer in Australia every 11 minutes.
But you have to ask for it.
Yeah.
So the time before I got my bloods done, I get my bloods done every year, the nurse said she'd only come across one other homocysteine test this year. So it's not common, you have to ask for it.
And why is that, Harry, when it's a predictor of so many of these degenerative disorders?
Because, the medical profession isn't trained about preventative work. And so most of them probably it isn't on their radar. And you get into patterns, blood tests, you just tick the standards, but you have to tick another box.
And you just touched on one of the main reasons for doing this, preventative measures for, identifying things before they get worse. I think we touched on this the other week, is that when you have your regular blood tests, you've got some comparison, you've got a baseline, you've got something to measure against.
You can assemble a trend. That's the really beneficial thing. Yeah. So if your blood sugar is okay now, but it's going up, your fasting blood sugar, well, that's telling you something.
Yeah.
Maybe you need to reduce the processed carbs. Or the sugar or whatever.
Yeah.
So there's lots of things. I mean, I just looked up, Life Extension is a quality supplement manufacturer in the US.
Yeah.
Which I used to buy from, but it's now got very expensive because the Australian dollar's gone down, so I don't anymore. But they had a nice little recommendation for the top things that you might test about. Now, obviously, glucose is one because of diabetes, blood sugar.
Yeah.
It's a big one. And lots of people, I'd say most people do not understand about blood sugar. They don't understand about processed food and what it does to blood sugar.
Yeah.
But if you do a fasting blood test, it'll tell you if you're non-pre-diabetic, normal, pre-diabetic or diabetic.
Yeah.
And that's really significant because that can destroy your life.
Oh, totally.
So the second test that everybody talks about is cholesterol.
Yeah.
Now, coronary artery disease is more about inflammation than cholesterol.
Right.
Cholesterol's easy to test. And if you have a high cholesterol result, probably the best thing to do then is get a thing called the coronary calcium score.
Did you say calcium? Coronary calcium?
Coronary calcium score, and that's a test you have to pay for.
Yeah.
It's not covered by Medicare. And Dr. Ross Walker, who's a heart specialist, that's what he recommends. He recommends rather than worrying about cholesterol score, go and get your coronary calcium score, because that will give you a better idea about whether your arteries are like this or like this.
Like that. I told you the story of my friend from the gym. He's in his 70s, super fit, always working out, and he has his regular blood tests, and the doctor just happened to say, let's check your calcium as well. And the next day he was in hospital for a triple bypass. His arteries were so clogged. Cholesterol was fine, but his calcium, it was calcified, whatever, all the way into his arteries. It was frightening. And he didn't show any signs, symptoms or anything. And he texted me and said, Sal, like, I've got to go in. You know, I told you I was having these tests. And next thing, and it was all, and he said, now I tell everyone, check your calcium. The coronary calcium test, absolutely, super, super vital. But what are your thoughts on people self-medicating with calcium? You know, the whole, oh, you're not getting enough for your bones and all that sort of rubbish. Or no, not rubbish, but
Well, you know, the dairy industry has done a very good marketing campaign around milk and dairy, and you know that's great if you're a calf.
yeah.
But I'm not a calf, and so the thing about calcium into the bones, you know, I'd be thinking about vitamin K2 if you're going to supplement.
Yeah, because is it calcium nitrate that a lot of people take, and it's just excess, so it just gets deposited in the plaque as plaque, doesn't it?
Yeah, I wouldn't be taking a calcium supplement, but I do take K2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that vitamin K2 or like
vitamin K2, which you've probably never heard of?
No, I've only heard of vitamin K. Not
vitamin K2, yeah.
Isn't K2 a drug? No, is that K12 or something? I don't know. There's some horse.
Maybe it's a robot.
K, that's what it is. Or something.
So K2 will get calcium into the bones.
Right. Okay.
Where you want it.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
And it will help get it out of the arteries. So then there's LDL, HDL, and trigs, which are your fats, and that'll inform you about what your fat balance is and whether you need to eat more good fats or not.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've got prostate. What about prostate? Specific antigen?
Prostate, that's problematic because the PSA test generates a lot of false positives.
Oh, yeah, that's what I had down. I wanted to talk to you about false positives and false negatives. So a false positive suggests something is abnormal when it isn't.
Correct.
And a false negative suggests something is normal when it isn't.
So I heard this woman the other day. She was on Radio National and she was the editor of the British Medical Journal.
Yeah.
Which is not super conservative, you might think from the title, but it isn't. And she was saying that there's a whole lot of debate around women's breast screening.
Mm-hmm.
Because once you get, you know, oh, there's something there, madam, we need to investigate. She talked about getting on this medical escalator, which is hard to get off. And then a whole lot of the checks along that escalator actually are carcinogenic.
Oh, right.
The tests raise your risk of getting breast cancer.
Is that right?
So really interesting, you know, just by the by, nothing to do with blood tests.
Well, you can't beat in the shower with your fingers then, is that what you're saying?
I just couldn't help myself from testing that.
Make me laugh. What are your thoughts on subclinical readings as well?
Well, you just need to educate yourself and you know, probably, you know, get a full set of bloods with homocysteine once a year and then go back and chat to your GP. Have an informed discussion. And of course, have a look up, Dr. Google, inform yourself, and that'll, you know, that'll increase the depth of discussion. And often you'll get a result like, oh, this is my last homocysteine test. Can you read that?
And I've got glasses on yes, down, is it the very bottom one? So
what it's told me is I've got 9.9 and the healthy range is 5 to 14.5.
Right, so you're bang in the middle.
Now, I'd like to be below 9.9, you know, 7 or 5 would be much better.
Yeah.
So I'm okay there, but it's telling me that there's room for improvement.
Yeah.
These ranges are often kind of, well, they're often a bit conservative, and that's okay.
That's a big take home today, is about homocysteine. Absolutely, absolutely. And why I brought up the subclinical thing was that in my personal experience, my iron and my thyroid over the years have been deemed fine in terms of where they lay in percentages with GPs and the blood tests. However, I go to my naturopath and I have, the reading is substantially low for their levels of recommended normal, if you like. And, and I didn't feel right, and I was really anemic, even though the blood test said you're fine. I wasn't. And then the same with, thyroid was underactive, and even though TSH readings and whatever were fine. But that's sorry?
So was your hemoglobin low?
Oh, I can't remember. Whatever it is. Yeah.
Have a look at your test.
And let me pull it out, baby. All my test results over the years. Oh gosh, having had so many kids, I've been.
Look, you should be able to get, if you go to Capital Pathology, should get a decent test like this. So when you go to your doctor, ask that you be copied the same results as he gets, or she.
Yeah.
Then you'll get a proper printout like this. And if you've got something out of the range, it'll come up in bold.
Yeah. Oh, which is what I've got. But it's all 20 pages of it. Yeah.
Yes, it's not as compact. So you would only be a couple of pages if you get it from Capital Pathology or
and vitamin D is another one that people should really check as well. There's a lot of people that are lacking vitamin D. What were some of the other ones? I had TSH, cortisol, testosterone. I can never pronounce it.
So cortisol, tell us about cortisol.
Well, I've done cortisol through the saliva.
Yeah, that's not a standard blood test. Saliva test, yeah.
Yeah, I found that more accurate.
Why did you do that, Sally?
Looking at my stress levels. And
stress levels, exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a killer.
Oh, it's a shocker. Cortisol is not my friend. It can pack its bags and nick off. I'm over it.
We used to do it in our clinic, but we stopped doing it.
Yeah. But, there's some of the diseases that are identified through blood tests, anemia, leukemia, kidney disorders.
Anemia, particularly for women, yeah.
Yeah, and cancer. It was interesting, there was a study done of people who actually had cancer, and they gave them blood tests to see if they could detect any cancer in their system, and 70% of them came up as being detected with some form of cancer. Now that 100% of them had it, but at least 70% is better than nothing of detecting potential, or if you have some form of illness.
Yeah. Okay. So hemoglobin is getting back to anemia.
I just was pulling that up. Here's an interesting. Sorry, go on.
There's a hematology, set of blood tests. But I'll let you go, and then I'll finish this list from. Yeah.
So, just interestingly enough, the growth of the global market with blood testing is expected to grow approximately 5.5% from 2017. So, say from now to 2023. So, it's on the increase around the world. I was reading, I think America's the largest saturation of or proliferation of blood tests, and then Europe, Asia Pacific is slowly getting up there. We get lumbered in with Asia Pacific, but it's because it's detecting various diseases, that are existing, and with an aging population, and lots of like hepatitis, HIV, cancer, genetic disorders, that sort of thing, and they can be detected through blood tests. And
I think, that's why it's popular. But I think the real potential is to do it early before disease, so you can monitor wellness.
Yeah, because that's one thing that we bang on about all the time is people often aren't interested in preventing stuff down the track. It's only when it's happened now, only living in the now. But particularly as an aging population, and everything else, it's really important to stay healthy and monitor that health as you go along.
Well, not only ageing population, some of the kids I see, you know, disastrous dying.
Yeah, well, look at, oh, yeah, and that's another topic, you know, overweight, diabetes, all that sort of stuff.
So there's a couple of other things you might look at. C-reactive protein is another one that is really useful because it will pick up inflammation. And inflammation.
Which protein was that, Dol?
C-reactive protein,
Okay.
CRP.
Okay.
And that is really an important driver of degenerative disease, inflammation. You've touched on thyroid, so there's the TSH test.
Mm-hmm.
Thyroid is problematic for testing. It's really complicated. So if you want, a lot of the women I seem to know over 50 seem to have thyroid issues.
Oh yeah, hello, exhibit A.
I don't understand why. I think there's something in the air, but that's probably something you go to a specialist or a good naturopath. The other one that's really interesting is testosterone in males is a risk for ischemic heart disease.
Oh, really?
Yeah, low.
Heart disease. Yep.
Apart from probably what might interest women more, which is low sex drive.
No, don't need that.
Yeah.
I had I can never pronounce it, creatine.
Yes. Yeah.
Bodybuilders take that. AIC testing, I didn't know what that was, and blood urea nitrogen. So that's just urea, I suppose. Iron.
I guess the most problematic are the lipid studies, cholesterol. You need to be really careful about how you interpret it. You know. And then if you're worried, I just repeat again, get a coronary calcium score rather than getting
that's, I reckon that.
Because you know, there are real side effects to cholesterol lowering meds. And,
Sure are. Frightening. My mum's a classic example. It's Lipsol or something terrible. Shocking.
Yeah. And I mean, if the normal range is, you know, 120 to 150 and you're on 119 or, you know, you don't need to worry.
Yeah. Peace of mind.
You're really close to the low range. You know, it's just if you're miles away.
Do you check your iron? Do you check your iron?
Yeah, yes, yeah. I'm always just out of the lower range for hemoglobin. So I don't eat that much meat, and red meat, that is.
Yep.
So I'm always, but you know, that's where I kind of seem to be okay. Mild anemia, probably. I've got.
They didn't check hemoglobin here. It was ferritin. But.
Well, you know, they probably should. Yeah.
I'm gonna look. I do this every year, and I did it literally the day before my 50th last year because I thought, oh God, got to tick a few boxes now. So you know, it's time to do that. But what were the two things?
Well, you need lipid studies. So obviously, do the cholesterol trigs and so on.
Yep.
Full hematology.
Yep.
Screen. What's it saying? C-reactive protein.
Yep.
Lipoprotein A. Lipoprotein A is.
Sorry, what was that last one? Protein.
Lipoprotein A.
Yep.
And then of course homocysteine.
Yeah, you're a wealth of knowledge, Harry. Bloody love it. Bloody love it.
PSA, you know, I'm not particularly fond of because you get so many false positives.
Yep.
And then another lipoprotein A. Yeah. Anyway, there we go.
Cool.
And what it does is inform you, and it allows you to make informed decisions.
Yeah.
And particularly the trend. You know, it goes up and down from year to year. It depends on how stressed you are, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But it really does give you a good input, I think.
Yeah, an insight into sitting right now. Yep.
So my hemoglobin, like it was 133 in 2017, and it was, 134, 2018. So it's pretty stable. That's the other thing. You can be just outside a normal range, but if it's stable, that tells you one thing. But if it's very erratic, that tells you another thing. And you can then dig deeper. Well, what's happening?
Yep.
And, you do that in conjunction with your medical practitioner.
Yeah.
Because it's, yeah.
Well, sorry, we're very blessed in Australia that a lot of it is just,
yeah,
free.
Yeah. And look, if you're stressed, that test that you talked about is a good one to do. That saliva test.
Oh, cortisol. Yeah. It's a bit of a pain. You got to spit into the little vials like every 2 hours, but
your result was pretty high, as I remember.
Yeah. Because my stress is really high. Okay.
What did you do about it?
Well, I've been meditating. I've done a lot about that.
Good.
And really taken a lot of focus on getting into a state of peace and letting things go, really, really letting things go and trying not to allow things to get to me and rework this, get this retuned, and take...
Getting the things from up here down to there.
Yeah, yes, exactly. Down and grounded, yeah. It's not easy. It is not easy, but you have to do it. When it's a warning call, right? Your body just screams at you until you listen. So, and that's another important thing out of these blood tests. It's like, waving some markers sometimes, some red flags. And
yeah, but just to remind listeners that this is a saliva test, not a blood test.
Oh yeah, you're talking about the cortisol. Yeah. Mm.
And why is cortisol important? Can you tell us? Yeah.
Oh, why is it important? Well, it's important to stress, but not have too much stress. But I don't.
So it's important because it's a hormone. Sorry, it's a component of blood. It's a component of our system that allows us to react quickly to a danger.
Yeah.
And it's not supposed to flood our system continuously. In chronic stress, what it does is it causes the body to fail.
Mm.
It's a bit like putting rocket fuel in your car.
Mm.
If you were going to put it in once to escape from some danger, that would be all right. But if you put it in every day, you're going to wreck the motor. And it's the same as that.
Yeah. I know. And adrenaline. I know. And particularly cortisol is a real shit in menopause and older age and chicks, and sits in the wrong spots. I know. You haven't got any handles, Harry. Very disappointing.
I haven't got a bit.
You crack me up. I just love working with you. You're always hilarious. Never know what I'm going to get. It's a lucky dip every week. Harry's got love handles.
Whatever they are, I love them.
Well, that can be your topic business appointments this week.
Yeah. We've got Secret Santa this week.
Oh, it's 11:11, so it's time to go, Dom.
Okay. All right.
All right. Lovely chatting to you.
And probably see you next week and we'll work out what to talk about.
Okay. Bye.